Hello, everyone. This is the Courageous Creativity Show. I am back, and I am back with one of the most favorite people, my favorite people in the world, Mr. Cornelius Jefferson. Cornelius, it is so awesome to have you back. I don't know how many times you've been on the show, but the show wouldn't be a show if it wasn't for you being on the show. So I'm super duper excited to talk to you today. And for those of you who are out there, Courageous Creativity Show, we have had over 10,000 downloads in the last few years. We have been all around the world. Every single part of the world has listened to this show. So if you're interested in being on this show and you're interested in talking about your story, about how you take your creative spirit that you've been given by God and actually do something despite challenges that are happening. And that's kind of funny because that's the name of Cornelius's book. And so, how do you battle through that? Please let us know because we'd love to have you on the show. Cornelius, welcome back to the Courageous Creativity Show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be back. I think this is like my third, fourth, or fifth time back. It's always a pleasure. Anytime you reach out and call, it's always going to be a yes for me. So I love you. I love you, what the work you do, and I'm happy to be here.
You know, I love you too. I was thinking the other day, like, when did I meet Cornelius? And I think it's way over a decade now that
It
we
is.
has.
We met 2015. It was 2015 when we met.
Gosh, isn't that dope? I mean, I tell people all the time that the only thing that matters in this world is the people you know. It's not the stuff you got. It's not the it's not the most expensive thing, the coolest clothes, the coolest gear, the dopest electronics. It's all about the people that you know and that you love. Because
Right.
when your life is at that point where you're not on this plane anymore, all you're gonna do is remember them. And Cornelius, you are one of those individuals. So for those of you who don't know, Cornelius is a phenomenal actor, singer. He is a man of God. He is just a wonderful human being and does so many things. So with Cornelius, right out the gate, before we just talk about what's up with you and all that kind of thing, I want to ask you a question. What when you are talking to someone about their creative journey, and by the way, we'll talk about Cornelius's business called Royal Dramatics. Uh, when you're talking to someone initially, what's like one of the first things you tell them if they're a client of yours or a student of yours? What's one of the first things you say to them?
Oh, one of the first thing I always tell people is, when you are pursuing your dreams, your goals, especially as an actor, there's a role out there for everyone. It's just a matter of being persistent and being consistent to believe in yourself, believe in your dream, and believe in the goal. And I give like examples of different, when we look at film, when we look at stage theater, no two actors look the same. Everyone has different looks, from Gabrielle Sidibe to Angelina Jolie. Everyone looks different, but there's a role out there for you if you are willing to be consistent and persistent in it. And I always tell them as well that, your dreams happen when your opportunity meets your preparation. Because you can have the opportunity before you, but if you're not ready, if you haven't done the training, if you haven't done the studying, if you haven't worked on your own craft, the opportunity is going to slip through your fingertips. But if you have done the work and you've been grinding, which usually for most of us that are creatives, the grind happens for years. The building, the work happens for years before that big break happens, where people think, oh, you came out of nowhere and it just happened for you, when really you've been, tilling that ground and planting those seeds and nurturing those plants for years.
You know, that's such an important point for those of us who are out there. Yeah. So regardless of your age, your size, your shape, your the way you look, if there is a role for you, especially in this day and age. My gosh, Cornelis. You know, for those of you who don't know, we are in Atlanta, Georgia. You know, it's the mecca of black theater. but it's also a great place for phenomenal film work that happens. Go to one of your coolest Marvel movies and you'll see the Georgia tagline at the bottom of it, as well as a whole host of other phenomenal films that's happened. And what you just said, Cornelius, is inspiring to me as a person who has an age that starts with a five. And then it always thinks about what is there out there? What role? Sometimes I feel like I'm a young person. I'm just starting out. I try to have that same exuberance, like I'm just starting out. What keeps you going? What keeps your energy going? What keeps you excited and inspired on a day-to-day basis?
What keeps me excited and inspired on a day to day, one is, me really pouring into my passions, my craft, uh, doing what I love. It makes me excited to wake up and go to work, even when I'm tired. Because when you're working, no matter what you do, you're gonna have those days where you feel drained, where you feel tired. But because I'm doing what I love, it gives me that extra push to push through those feelings, and I remind myself that I get the opportunity to do this. Not that I have to do this, but I get the opportunity to do this. And then also, my family, my son really gives me that push as well because, I when I look at him, I know that he's looking at me. And if I don't believe in myself and if I give up on my dreams, what does that communicate to him for his dreams and his passion? Because he's also an artist. He paints. And so I am motivated through wanting to be an example of what persistence and perseverance looks like, and how when you believe in yourself and you believe in the gift that God has given you, that it won't be in vain if you just stay consistent and persistent with it.
That's so beautiful. Let me ask you this, and I don't recall if you've ever asked this question or talked about this before. How did you get into acting? And what was your first thing that was prompted you to get into acting life?
Oh, this is a funny story. So I actually I started acting at the age of 16, but it was all by chance. Um, I growing up, I always had like this creativeness within me. Like I used to always write like plays, and I would make when my cousins would come spend the night, I would make everyone like learn lines, and we would rehearse, and then we would perform in front of like my mom and my aunts and my uncles. And I don't know how everyone else felt about that, but I really enjoyed that. And so I always had that in me, but as I was matriculating through life, I didn't, you know, they don't tell you that being an actor is something that is a possibility. That's not a realistic job. So I was going to be a entertainment lawyer. I wanted to be a lawyer for the people who were within entertainment. So that was my goal always in high school because I was really smart. I ended up being valedictorian in my class. So everyone was
Really?
so smart. Yes, yes.
Wow.
Had a 1590 SAT score out of 1600. It
Whoa.
telling me you need to do something that is super intelligent. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be a lawyer. And when I was in 11th grade, we my school had a drama troupe that was started. I was not a part of it, and they would do plays throughout the year. And they were getting ready to perform in one of the theater competitions that Georgia has every year. And a day before the performance, the director and one of the actors got into a really heated argument, and he kicked the student out of the show. And so he told the other students, I need you guys to find someone who's really smart who can learn these lines overnight. So they gave him 2 names. There was this boy named Jeremy, and then they gave him my name. And so he came to both of us. He gave us a script. He said, "Hey, go home, learn these lines. I just need you guys to help out in the show tomorrow." So I went home with my mom, and my mom is helping me like learn these lines. And I remember this feeling like it felt so natural, like I had been doing it my whole life. And my mom is, helping me. So we show up the next day. Jeremy goes first, and he does his lines, and he knew all the lines, but Jeremy could not act at all. It was very like, it was terrible. And then I went after him, and when I was finished, everyone in the room, like, they just started applauding. And the director looks at me and he goes, "Why aren't you in the drama club?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, "'Cause that was really good. Like, you need to be acting with us." And so that kinda, like, planted the first seed. So we go, we perform, and I just remember that feeling of being on the stage, and it felt like my spirit, my soul had found home. Like, this is where I was always meant to be, but you needed to realize it. And I remember when we were driving back to the school, I was on the bus. I remember I was having a conversation with God, and I said, "God, the way that I felt today, I wanna feel like that for the rest of my life." And I really feel like you're calling me to do this. And I feel like I'm not supposed to be a lawyer for the actors. I feel like I'm supposed to be the actor. And I need you to confirm this for me. So I went home, I told my mom, and my mom was not in agreement at all. She was like, "No, no, you're too smart. You're throwing away your brains." And so in order to discourage me, my mother said, "I'm gonna set you up an audition. I'm gonna find an audition that's happening in the city. I'm gonna take you, and if you book it, then that means you're meant to be an actor." So obviously, my mom was thinking I wasn't gonna book the role. We show up, I do the audition, and I booked the show. And so I was like, "You know what, mom? I'm meant to do this." And after that, I changed my idea. I went into college to study theater, and I have been acting ever since the age of 16.
That is so awesome. That story itself is a story. I can see that playing out on a film or a TV show. That is fantastic, or a theater show. That is so incredible. Speaking of your mom, she obviously the support she's going to do for you as a lawyer, she's done that for you as an actor.
She definitely has. She's been one of my biggest fans. She shows up to everything that I do. Like I'm still that, that middle school kid that has a game. My mother will make sure she's at all of my shows.
That is so awesome. Let's talk a little bit about Royal Dramatics. And this is your business where you're helping other actors. What made you decide to create this business?
Oh, it was actually an idea that came from others. So I didn't realize it, but I was already helping a lot of other actors, like giving them the knowledge that I knew, helping them book roles, sitting down with them, helping them work on their auditions, their monologues, helping them with their acting, helping them find classes and getting them signed to agencies. I was doing that already, and someone told me, you're a teacher. You have this natural teaching gift." And I was like, "No, no, I'm not." And she was like, "No, I really think you should look into this." And then another person told me, like, "Hey, I think you should host acting classes in my studio. I'm willing to let you do it, and I'll help you, build out the workshop. And you should charge this much because I believe people will pay you." And I initially didn't believe in myself because I'm like, "Who am I? No one's gonna listen to me and what I'm talking about. I'm not, Denzel Washington. What do they want to hear from me for?" But then I took some time and I looked within and I realized that, I do have a wealth of knowledge because I have, to date, I've been doing this for 21 years. That's over 2 decades of experience in this field. And I do have a natural gift, and I love to pour into others. It's like, helping other people see themselves the way that God sees them is like a passion of mine. That's why I call it Royal Dramatics, because the royalty. I use the tagline, "We're going to bring the royalty out of your performance," because I want everyone who comes to know that there's royalty inside of you because you were created as royalty, because that's who God made you to be. He made you royal. And all I'm doing is helping you to discover that royalty that's on the inside of you, because most of our gifts and talents are hindered by our lack of confidence within ourselves. So I'm just helping people to believe and discover what's already there and believe in the gift that they already have. And so, I got started just from other people believing and seeing that in me. And so now I in turn help the people that come to me to believe and see what's inside of them.
Wow. That in of itself is such a powerful statement. And you and I think, believe this that, and you just said it, that every single person that I've ever met has a gift. And a lot of times that gift is, there's really no restrictions to that gift besides the ones that we impose upon ourselves. And we live in this like cool time. I know sometimes we look at the news and stuff looks crappy when you look at the news. Like the news just looks like a bunch of crap. Like what's going on in the world? There's a lot of mess going on in the world.
Yes, it is.
At the same time, we live where you and I can make a change tomorrow if we say, I want to start doing this, or I don't like doing that, or I really got inspired to do something different. And we just get up and we can just start doing it. Now, whether we be successful or not, that's on us. That's not really on the world and the environment. And sometimes I think about that because that's a beautiful thing. For most of human history, when you were born, you knew what you were going to be. You just knew, or you were born something. Someone told you at 3 years old, "Hey, we were born here, and hence you will be there." That's not the case here, and I think that's a beautiful thing that God has entrusted us with. He doesn't He doesn't give us the grace to get the ability. He's doing what you're doing, by taking your gifts and sharing it with other people. And that's why he gave us the gifts. So we can do it and share it. I think for sure. Cornelius, you inspire me every time you start talking. And I would have to say that doesn't happen all the time. So I truly appreciate that. Let's talk a little bit about what you're up to. And I would like to see, so I'd like to hear some of the things. So here's this interesting thing I wanted to share with everyone real quick. So I went and I did this Google search for Cornelius. I've known him for so long. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, he is ranked." When you see his name, he's the only person that you see on Google for the first 10 on Google. I was like, "Now that is dope." I was like, "You whether you wanna look at him, IMBD or Instagram or JT Talent, or shout out Atlanta you," and it goes down a little bit. I was like, "Dude, that is amazing." That is amazing. Tell us what you're up to these days.
So for right now, I received a text for a show that I'm doing in April. I don't There's no date for it yet, and I have not received the script yet, but I had the director. I work with her. I've worked with this specific director a lot. Her name is Pamela Gardner. We've done a lot of shows. She was actually the director that booked me on my very first show that story I told you about when I was 16. She was the first director I ever auditioned for. And she still to this day will reach out to me and book me for her shows whenever she has something. I've been working with her for literally 21 years. And she puts me in everything she does. And I'm so grateful for her. So she's having a show in April. Don't know the specifics of the script and everything, but whenever she calls, I always say yes because I would not be here doing this if it wasn't for her.
Is it a show she's created or somebody else is doing somewhere?
Something she creates. She writes all of her shows. Uh, that she used to do this really big show back in the early to late 2010s, early 2000s, late 2010s. It was called King of Glory. It was at the Atlantic Civic Center every year. She was the one that created that show. So she does all of her own original things. Uh,
That's awesome. I go to all your shows too, and it's interesting because every time you have a show, I go, even even if I can't hang out like after it, and your shows are like all over Atlanta. Like I forget one show I went to. It was like I put it in my Google Maps, and it was like 60 miles. I was like, I was like, uh, that was so. I want to say it was South Jonesboro, somewhere in there.
that's when I was in When a Good Man Falls.
Yes, yes, yes. I was like, "Whoa." I was like, "Whoa. I don't think I've ever been to this place as long as I've been to Atlanta." and it was cool. I was like, "I'm going. Cornelius is in the show. Any show that he's in, it's not just me, but everybody's out there. Go to the show because it is going to be a great show. It's awesome." I want to pivot real quick a little bit, Cornelius. You wrote a book a while ago called Challenges. And tell us, and it was interesting because I read it a while ago, but my son that you know well, he recently read it and he gave me his perspective and he felt it really inspiring to him. You know my son well. Tell me what was it that prompted you to write that story? That
Wow.
book.
So challenges the journey to healing. Um, you know, it's the book was almost like my acting career. It was not intentional at first. At the time when I started writing, I was in a place in life where I was looking back over a lot of the things that happened to me in my life. And I was kind of feeling like a victim of my circumstances. And I was tired of being a victim to things that happen. And I was thinking to myself, like, how can these things work for me for my good? How can I come out of a place of feeling sorry for myself because this happened or that happened or this person betrayed me and this didn't work out and and being angry that God has allowed me to find myself here. And so I started writing from a place of, I just want to heal from all of this. I want to let all of this go. So I was just writing, just to try to find a place of healing. And when I got finished writing, God spoke to me and told me, go back and read it because you have a book. So I went back and I started reading what I wrote, and I was like, oh wait, this is a chapter and this is a chapter, and this is a chapter. So then I just started fine tuning the chapters and building them. And because I didn't even have the name for the book until I was finished with everything. And I ended up with 13 chapters. And then by the end, I said, oh, this is challenges, the journey to healing.
Mm,
Because this is about how to overcome every how to overcome and make those not to and to look at the challenges in your life differently, that they're not preventing you from living your best life, but they're actually helping you to be more refined and helping you to be the better version of yourself. And it's taking you from being a victim of your circumstance to being an overcomer of those things and letting those things work for your good instead. And that was really how the book came about. It was really just me seeking healing for myself. And then it turned into me being able to help other people heal. And I'm so grateful for everyone who's purchased a book, who's read a book, for the people who have reached out. I've had people, men, women alike, that have, you know, been able to get healing from being sexually abused, who were able to forgive, who were able to cope with, deaths. I had a mother, her son was murdered, and she purchased and read my book, and she said it helped her to start processing her pain and to start, grieving and getting to the next phase in life where she wasn't stuck in the anger anymore. So it was so many people, like, and I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful for everyone that helped. When I wrote it, I did my best to be as transparent as possible, because I felt that the more transparent I was about my own journey and my own struggles, the more it would benefit and help others. So I did my best not to hold anything back and to put it all on the table.
wow, wow. Mm. Cornelius, I have an idea, and this is an idea that just prompted in my head as you were talking. And if you tell me no in front of the entire audience, that's totally okay. So don't feel like you like you gotta say yes. Uh, you and I and others that I know, I would like for us to think about creating an event, and that event is where we would get up and you would share because you're a good public speaker. You would share a little bit about challenges and how we can help others and how we can help others go through like in a public speaking. I don't know what it's called yet. It just came into my mind 30 seconds ago. But but maybe it's called healing or something to that effect. where we would share how we can help others who are going through this tumultuous time in life, because everyone is. If you're not, even if you're a millionaire, you're going through something. Um, but we can help others go through it because I think that's the calling of life. I think that's why Jesus came to this world. I think that that's what's important for us to do as human beings. The best things we do with human beings is when we get together and we just say, "Hey, how do we help another human being?" That is just the best part of life. Every time you keep talking, you keep me. For those of you who don't know, Cornelius and I can talk on and off camera for a long period of time. Yeah, I want to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. I was sharing with Cornelius that I wrote a 10-page play, which is not what I do typically, but it was prompted by something my wife and I were talking about years ago. We were talking. Sometimes we get one of the things that we love to do together is like come up with ideas for stories. But she usually just says, "All right, well, the story's going, whatever, forget it," and she don't think about it. But I write it down, I keep it in a thing. So I said, "Let me write a story about this." And inside of the story, the couple debates about what they should do. And one of the things that comes up in the story is foster care and adoption. And I did some research before I could finish writing that portion. Like, how many people in Georgia and in the United States of America are in the foster care system and are up for adoption? And it broke my heart. There's lots of things that don't. A lot of things I hear. I'm jaded. I grew up from New York, so I got all of this weird kind of cynicism associated with me. But when I heard about how many kids that are in the foster care system that do not get adopted, and ultimately they they are out on their own in society, that hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else cares about this, and if you don't care about it, that's all okay. You can turn this off. You don't care about adoption, but I know I care because I care about what happens to our society for sure. A lot of people use this term. I care about people, but I don't want them to get no food stamps. Well, that's not caring. Uh, Caring about people who are in the system is super important. What do you think about this? And I know this led to an important moment in your life.
Yeah, no, I think is super important. Because there are a lot of, children out there who, we could like in the vein of helping people, we could help them and change their lives, especially if you are a great person who has a great heart and has the ability to provide the life that they would need or desire. Um, Instead of them having to struggle or aging out of the system, ended up homeless. For myself, I am a adoptive parent. I have a son that I adopted him when he was 10 years old. I originally started off as his mentor, and as I was mentoring him, I could see that and I got to know him more, there were a lot of issues happening at home. He came from a very abusive background. He was being beaten really badly to the point that he had battered child syndrome. And that's when, they're always afraid you're going to hit them. So, like how I did this, if I made this gesture, he would flinch and do that because he thought I was about to punch him or something. That's when I first started noticing, and he was telling me how suicidal he was, um, and he was doing terrible in school. He was failing. He was flunking, but they were just passing him through because the teachers didn't want to deal with him because he was one of those troubled students. He was stealing from stores because his mom and the various men that were coming in and out of their lives weren't giving him the things he needed or wanted. So he was going to stores to steal the stuff that he needed and wanted. And so he was like one of the kids that has his face plastered on the window at the Dollar Tree that he wasn't allowed to come back. Um, and he's that kid that a lot of people just didn't want to deal with. But for whatever reason, I really had a heart for him and I saw a lot of myself in him. And my father wasn't as present in my life. growing up, and so I always felt like adoption was something I wanted to do. I didn't I just thought it would happen under different circumstances because, we all like to control, and I definitely am a big controller, and so I thought like, okay, I'm gonna be married and have other kids and have this home, and I'll be here in my life, and this is how it's gonna work, and then the kid is gonna be this age, at that age, it's gonna happen this way, and it happened completely different than what I thought. But I'm a very, like, committed person, so when I saw all the struggles he had, I started, like, investing in him because I understood that the reason he had all these struggles, the reason that he was acting the way he was acting is because nobody was pouring love into him, and no one was believing in him so he can believe in himself. So, I decided to be that person, and every day I would pick him up from school, and I would sit down with him, we would do homework, and I would help get him caught up because he didn't even know his timetables when he was in middle school, and so I would do flashcards with him, and I would do my own Sunday summer school sessions with him, because I used to be a tutor, and I told you I was valedictorian of my class and all that, so I put all those intelligent skills to use, to help him and pour that into him, and the more I became invested in love, I kind of unintentionally started walking in the role of a father because I just believed that was who I always was. And when you are created to be something, you're going to be that no matter what. So I just was walking in the role of a father without even realizing it. And one day he said to me that he wanted me to be his real dad because he felt like I was already his dad. And when he said it, it felt so right in my heart. And I spent a lot of time praying about it. I talked to my mom and I just said, God, if this is your will, I'm gonna go talk to his mom and things are gonna work out. So I went to his mom and I said, hey, I I I feel like I'm being called to adopt him and be his father. And I really wanna, help him change his life. And she was like, yeah, I love that. You can adopt him. And,
Right.
you don't hear stories like that often, and that's what happened. So I got a adoption lawyer, and, we did everything legally through the system, adopted him, and he's been with me since. It's just been he and I, and that's my boy. Yes,
Be married and
yes, sir. He is flourishing. He's a straight A student. He's worked through a lot of that trauma. I got him into therapy, and the therapist really helped out a lot. And he's just like, when you meet him, you wouldn't know that that was his story. You wouldn't know that he came from being that person because he's such a kind, loving young man.
he is. I don't know how long of life of since I've known you for a long time. I guess I've known him for a long time, and
Yeah.
and he has always been a kind and well adjusted optically a well adjusted young man. He seems very kind and very loving to people. I mean, you have obviously been instrumental in that, and also he's obviously wanted to be like that, which has been really, really great. What a wonderful story. For those of you who are there, I don't know if that resonates with you, but Dan Cornelius, you just really, he just really tell people out there what's really real. Like, what's the real thing? Like, I'm not saying, we are both not saying that you should go out there and adopt 5 kids tomorrow. But it was,
No, 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 I tell people all the time, if God did not call you to do it, don't do it because it is a lot of work. It is a lot of work.
but there are ways that we can impact their lives, in multiple ways. One of the ways, is just really about what we do with creativity and really around what we do as actors and writers, etc. Every time I talk to you, you give me too many ideas. It feels like when I'm talking to you, like I gotta go get my notes and like write down stuff. Because I'm saying to myself, what happens with young people? I saw a movie about these guys, some guys that were in jail and they ended up putting together a theater production. I wish I could remember the name of that movie. This was like about a year ago. It was like nominated for an Oscar and all that stuff. I was like, does anyone ever do that with young people who are in those situations? Does anyone even talk to them? They're in those? areas. I did some research for that play I was writing about these different homes and different support systems that exist within Atlanta, and there are quite a few that actually are out there, and they actually help young people who are either transitioning from foster to adoption or from adoption or from foster out. I, I forgot what the number was. I almost don't feel like saying it, but it's like over 10,000 people, kids, are in the foster care system at any given time.
Yeah.
And those are 10,000 kids that become X amount of adults that, that don't have that. It's this is my stump speech, so forgive me. Like, we live in like the greatest freaking country in the history of mankind. Why are there people like that are there like that? Why is that? It's massively annoying. But I'm gonna ask you a fun question now. So this is about 2025. So what? Well, those that was a good conversation. Let's put it that way. What we just talked about was unbelievably important. What was your favorite show or movie that you saw last year? Hmm?
Hands down, they don't even have to think too hard. My favorite movie of 2025 was Separatare. I don't even have to think hard about that. I saw that movie in theaters like 5 times, and when it was released on streaming, I have lost count how many times I watched this movie. That movie, it just it's so much to take in, so many parts, and that dance scene in the middle.
Oh my gosh, it's one of the best scenes in movie history.
Listen, Ryan Coogler, I one of my dreams is to be able to be in one of his movies and do something with him. You know, I just the artistry, the black excellence. I want a part of all of that.
It was so amazing. And here's my story. I don't love horror movies at all. They are like my least favorite genre of movies to watch. You know, someone says they got a horror movie coming on, I was like, I'm going the other direction. I, I watched that movie and I felt so different about it. And and here's a little insight. I don't buy movies like, you know, when you can buy them off of the whatever platform you can buy 'em. I bought Sinners the day it was released where you could buy it or for, you know, and put it into your hard drive or whatever. And I can't tell you, I've watched it as much as you've watched it. Uh, or at least tried to watch it. I was like, this is like one of the greatest I mean, it does so many things well. You know, on so it does like regular movie cinema stuff well. It's got great screenplay. It's obviously a great story. I was super duper surprised when I'm in the theater and I'm watching the movie. This is a cool movie. I like the fact that Michael B. Jordan and the twins and all this is cool. Oh, what's gonna happen? Then all of a sudden it turns to a vampire movie. So what? Where am I? This is like the most awesome movie I have seen in the longest. Have you seen any or have you been around any theater productions like that you would say was your favorite from last year?
Last year, I didn't get the opportunity to sit and watch theater. I performed in theater last year, but I didn't get the opportunity to watch anyone in a show or in a production last year.
And tell us about one of those things that you remember, a memorable moment from one of those shows that you were in last year.
Okay, what shows was I in last year? So I did When a Good Man Falls. I did Mom's Musical, Believe. Um, I was in a Christmas production. I would say, one of the shows, a really memorable moment for me is a lot of people don't know that, with me being a theater actor, that also means that I have done musical theater. So that means I have trained in jazz, ballet, and tap. But a lot of people don't know that.
I saw that on your I saw that recently on your JT management. I said, "Wait a minute. All this time I've known Cornelius saying he is a singer?" And I hadn't.
Listen, and I don't tell people, but, a director found out the director that has been casting me since I was 21, she was doing the show, and, it was a Christmas production musical, and, um, and in the show, one of the dancers got hurt, and couldn't perform, and she needed a new dancer. She was struggling to fill that role at the last minute, and she found out. And I'm not sure if I have it posted somewhere or on a resume somewhere, but she found out that I had training in dance and begged me to, fill in that role. And so I did it, and I was the lead dancer in the show last year, and the dance, the reaction that the audience gave, like, they went up, like, we got, like, a standing ovation after the performance was over, and, people were coming up to me after the show like, "Oh my god, you stole the show, and this is amazing," and I haven't, like, walked in the dance field in, like, years, probably, like, a decade, and to know that, I was able to still get that same reaction and inspire people and make people feel something through dance and not just acting, it made me feel good. So that was really memorable because I was scared. I was like, oh God, I'm gonna look crazy. My mom hasn't even seen me because I was dancing in Miami, so she hasn't even seen me. And she came and was like, "Oh my God, it was so good! Wow, you did amazing!" She's like, "Your turns, it was just so good."
It's so awesome. That is so awesome. At this point of the show, I always ask all of yes, Coach Cornelius, do you have anything you would like to ask me about anything that's happening in the world?
Oh my God, Winston. I was thinking what's so funny is I was thinking about you a few weeks ago, and I was like, what is Winston doing next? What's the next play Winston's about to do? Because I need Winston putting something else out or putting something else on the stage. Life just doesn't feel right unless Winston's doing something. So what are you doing? So what are you gonna put on the stage next?
There's a couple things I'll say is I directed a play last year called Past and Shadows, which was an unbelievably intense and wonderful story about people who came from the Caribbean to England after World War II. And so it was the Windrush generation, and it's people get to England, and then his family has this challenge. For me, it was the biggest one of the biggest challenges in my life because number one, I'm directing someone else's thing, which was relatively new for me, and it was somewhat of a period piece, which means that there was costuming and all of that stuff. It was really intense, and I loved it so much. I've been asked to direct another piece for a project called the Solidarity Project, and this is a project from many dramatists here in Atlanta that we're getting together to create more to showcase plays that all are around nonviolence. And so that will be done in April. That's going to be great. I was the play that I'm directing is an amazing piece. My young lady named Linda Green. On the Witston front, there's a couple of things to think about. I've been asked to be in a play.
What? I was
Yes.
seeing you out now.
Yes. I've been asked this. I was in a reading last year that someone asked me to do, and that was fun because I played a gentleman who was in the 90s, which was a gay gentleman in the 90s, which was so much fun for me. And it was around the AIDS time, the height of the AIDS epidemic. So that was a lot of fun. This role, without giving away too much of it, I have been asked to play the villain in this story, and this story is a fantasy story, and I will be playing a cockroach.
Cockroach. Now, Winston, you have to let me know about these shows because I like the ones you had last year. I would have come to those. I didn't know that you were directing that. So please, please,
It happened.
please let me know.
It happened really fast. That one that someone turned around and says, "Hey, in August, hey, we're having a play in October." I was like, "What?" And you know how that is when all of a sudden you start to put together things. I will obviously let you know.
Yes, I really want to come and support.
There's other things I won't divulge to the audience. I have to stay tuned. And it's around the world that Cornelius helped. He was a lead character in my play in 2024 called Lyrics. And that's all I'll say. I'll leave it at that. So please go to my website, winstonaWilson.com, or check me out on all the platforms because there'll be some great announcements upcoming, which I'll obviously be asking Cornelius to participate in because I can't do a thing. This is a real, I can't like do a production or a play or story if I can't, if Cornelius is not the first person I ask. I just can't do it. I just can't do it, and I do this for a couple of reasons. Number one, he's unbelievably super talented, as you all have heard. But number two, I want him to remember me when he blows up. Or he was like, oh yeah, oh yeah. Now that accepting this Oscar, I want to thank everybody. There was this guy I worked with in Atlanta, something with W something something back in the day. I want him to remember that.
You will always be remembered, so you are a pivotal part of my journey.
Yeah, so thank you so much. I really appreciate it. For those of you out there, being courageous is it's a gift and it requires courage. There are moments that there are pulls in this world. Like we gotta pay bills, we gotta do things for our family, we've got to relax, we've got to heal. And so creativity sometimes can be the second or the tertiary thing that we think about. In my and perhaps Cornelius's view, it's a paramount thing to think about because what it does is it helps your spirit get through all that other mess that you have. So if you had that story that you've always wanted to write, or you always wanted to be an actor, or you always wanted to be an artist, painter, or a musician, whatever that is, whatever that is for you, please just start. And I don't mean start like, because you know how it is, just Cornelius, like you get this idea, like, I'm going to write the 500-page novel tomorrow and it's going to be done. And it's going to be out tomorrow. That's not how it works. It works in small bite-sized pieces where we say, I'm going to take it down to an atomic level and do it piece by piece, minute by minute, 15 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, etc. Cornelius, you're so wonderful. How can people connect with you?
They can find me on I'm most active on Instagram, but you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at the Cornelius underscore J. You can find me on Facebook at Cornelius Jefferson. You can go to my website, royaldramatics.com. And you can just, if you Google my name, you'll see all those things as well. Cornelius.
That is awesome. Cornelius, I'm gonna leave the last word to you for our audience, and I would like you to share anything that you'd like to share with them as a creator, anything you would like to impart to them. You're talking to this person who's hearing the Courageous Creativity Show for the first time, and you're telling them about creativity and about personal growth. What are you telling them? Just you talking to them. I ain't in the room. You're talking to them.
What I'm telling a person about creativity and their gift is that one, believe in the gift that is within you. Because although creativity is all throughout the world, the creativity that is within you doesn't exist yet. So, yes, you may have a play and someone else has a play, but your play is not their play. And what you would bring to the world will be something new and innovative. And the world needs your version of that as well. Just like if you're an actor or you're a singer, the world needs your voice too. Don't discredit yourself because you're not like someone else, or you don't sound like them, you don't look like them, you don't act like them. You are yourself, and you are just like the fingerprint that you have is unique and individual. And with your gift, your creativeness is needed in the world because it doesn't exist without you.
That is so great. Everyone out there, let's thank Cornelius for joining us again. You are so wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I love you. I am so excited about your future, what you got upcoming. And for those of you out there, please, if you're interested in being part of the Courageous Creativity Show, let us know. Reach out directly. Got all the ways to reach out to us. I put a phone number there earlier if you have any questions, or if you want to reach out, just go to winstonwilson.com or find the Courageous Creativity Show on Facebook, YouTube, and other places where you can say, hey, let me put a comment in this, or let me learn more about this, or I want to be on the show. Whatever that is, please let us know because I believe in you. I don't know you, but I believe in you. Thanks so much, Cornelius.
My pleasure. Thank you, Winston.